Thanks so much, and welcome everybody on this beautiful Thursday afternoon. I'm Terry Lavin. I run the East Coast for client partnerships for GSTV. Just by way of introduction, GSTV is a national video network running full video program on 25,000 stations across the nation, where we reach 1 in 3 adults as they habitually fuel up weekly and bi-weekly. I'm honored, truly honored to have Amanda Bailey here, our Senior Director, Hilton Honors Program with Hilton. And Amanda, welcome.
Thank you so much, Terry. I'm so excited to be here. This is an exciting topic and a very relevant discussion for us around consumer engagement and thinking about loyalty and relationships. And I'm excited to be here today. So thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I should like to begin by asking, what was your brief journey from being a finance major at Maryland to marketing at Hilton? For the last 7 years.
Yes, very good question. Yes, I started my career in wealth management, working in finance, and actually is a really good foundation for marketing, kind of bringing that knowledge forward. But I quickly realized that I didn't want to spend my time, balancing portfolios, managing other people's money, and I became attracted to marketing, had the opportunity to build the marketing department within the wealth management company, went on to a marketing consulting firm where kind of learned the trade of marketing, joined a startup in the fintech space to really kind of take that marketing to an industry that I loved. And then at some point, thanks to a great mentor of mine, he's like, you really got to come check out Hilton. I'm like, I don't know. I never thought about working in hospitality, and kind of took that leap, made that jump, and found myself at Hilton, and here I am nearly 8 years later. It's been an amazing journey. There's so much within the hospitality space. And I think at the core, not only is Hilton as a company, the values, the culture, just such an amazing place, but truly, what we believe about the customer and how critical they are to our business, to the relationships we have. And that's really kind of kept me here and kept me excited about the role that I'm doing.
Well, I was going to ask the question, assuming there's no 7-year itch, why have you stayed at Hilton? It's often voted one of the best places to work. It's a 100-year-old brand, but I think you've articulated quite succinctly why you're there. You lead the marketing and strategy, creative execution, focus on driving adoption, and usage of the Hilton Honors app. Could you just elaborate more on that job function?
Yeah, so I look after our loyalty marketing program, and we partner with many groups across the company to bring the loyalty experience to our customers. Specifically, in my role, I kind of have 3 distinct functions. One around customer strategy and CRM. So really the group that understands and defines kind of our key customers that we are looking to acquire and engage with during the relationship with Hilton. The second part of my team is focused on the acquisition and activation marketing. And so whether that is acquiring or enrolling a new member into Hilton Honors, our loyalty program, or getting them to actually take out a credit card with us to deepen the relationship with Hilton through the relationship we have on the co-brand with American Express. And then the third area of my team focuses deeply on growth marketing, engagement marketing, and really thinking about how do you take that new customer, that active customer, and deepen that relationship, getting to know them on a more personal level and delivering them content, experiences, value that meets their needs based on the segment that they're in and the journey that they're on. So to do that, kind of how we sit within the organization is we guide a lot of that go-to-market strategy and the general marketing approach and plan, and then work with all of our business partners on the loyalty program management side, as well as within media, own channels, social, and all of the ways that our program and our brands come to life.
That's helpful. You describe yourself on LinkedIn as a customer champion. Could you elaborate on that title?
Yes, I am customer obsessed. I really do. I have a huge passion for understanding the customer, and it really gets me excited every day. I recently read an article, actually just the other day. I think one of the biggest takeaways I took from it is these big changes that have happened post-pandemic, where companies are focused, where marketing departments are focused. And what I love, the silver lining in all of this, is that so many companies, including Hilton, had this great opportunity to really hone in on focus on the customer. Not only what they look like, with their demographics and their age, but what they care about, what they value. And so this blend of taking a company's value, their purpose, their vision to, what do customers need and want from brands and companies and people in their life today, and kind of marry them together. So I'm a customer champion because I'm inspired by them. I think marketing should be led by them. And I think then business results fall out. So that's really kind of where my passion point lies, and why this kind of work and these discussions are really exciting.
Yeah, it's certainly infectious. But let me take you back a year ago,
Sure.
just on the dawn of COVID, before everyone was forced to pivot in a major way, as far as their strategy, as far as their thought process, as far as execution. People were not sure of next week, let alone the future. But before that, where was Hilton at that time? Where was your strategy headed at that time before things had to change?
We were flying high is the answer. It's the simple answer to that question. We just come off of our 100th year anniversary as a company, which was a really amazing milestone and something to be a part of. And we had just reached over 100 million members that joined our Hilton Honors loyalty program. And we'd really been focused on, paying attention to the industry. There's a lot of loyalty programs out there. We know our customers, our members are part of multiple loyalty programs. Some of our most elite customers, over half of them are part of other programs. And we recognize that and we understand that. So we had been spending a lot of time in 2019 really thinking about, what is our point of differentiation? What is it that's really going to make somebody choose Hilton and our portfolio of brands and our program over the others? And we conducted a bunch of research, kind of learned a lot about what was at the core of everything. And we set out on a mission to go beyond the transactional relationship that we had with our customers and really forge that lifelong loyalty and preference to Hilton through a more emotive connection. So we were kind of at the cusp of, rolling out some great positioning, really focused on how we can amp up our appreciation and recognition efforts. And then the pandemic happened. And what felt like, a lot of momentum almost halted in the business. Just, of course, consumers couldn't travel. The core of our product that we sold every day, booking hotels, elevating our hotels, was non-existent. It wasn't an option for us. That's not what people wanted to hear about. But what it did provide was this awesome opportunity for a brand like Hilton Honors, a loyalty program, the relationship driver of the company, to step forward and really put those members at the heart and say, what is it that they need? They needed to feel safe. They needed to feel like they had the flexibility. They needed to feel like they had the value that they were expecting from us. So we were able to kind of focus on the members, put them first, and double down on what they needed during this time. So, to go back to your question, we were ready to ramp. It was going to be a big year. And I'm not going to say that it wasn't a big year, because I think we experienced a lot as a company, and we went through a very traumatic time, but also a time where we spent a lot of time listening to our members and our customers. And I think that's really set us up for some great success coming into 2021.
You mentioned time, and that's interesting because with all that uncertainty, the more positive cousin of uncertainty is time. And it sounded like you were given a bit of a relief to really concentrate as hotels were virtually vacant, to really focus on that customer.
Yes. And I would say, and we had to do that, of course, with less resources, less people at times. We had to be highly attentive to what was happening in the market, paying attention to what else was going on in customers' lives. And again, we just kept coming back to what were the most critical things for our customers during that time. And that was really about, again, that safety and security first and foremost. And you saw Hilton introduce programs like our Clean Stay effort, and how we really doubled down on making sure people felt safe, that those that had to travel were able to and felt comfortable doing so at our hotels. And then the second piece really being around flexibility. And that's really what we focus on the first part, in that really kind of critical time when we could do very little. But then as things started to progress, we had the time. We've got that, we introduced all these programs, we've got people feeling comfortable, we're taking care of them. But then we kind of had this awesome space that said, okay, now we need to think differently about how to engage them. Now we need to think about what is on their minds. How can we bring Hilton into their lives in different ways? And so we had the time to really understand, to test, to learn more about our customers, what was making them interested. So that was everything from publicizing our DoubleTree cookie recipe and having it blow up the internet, to, finding new ways to feature our member stories and hear about what they've been missing and the memories that they're making. And I think that for me and for our team and for many folks across the company was just such a refreshing chance to try some things that we just didn't have the time to really dive into in the course of business in years past.
Is that that's obviously the differentiator, because when you're looking at rewards points, they become a commodity. It's something, it's like a trading card. I'm a gold member of Hilton, but if you ask me how many points, I'd have to look it up.
Yep.
Most of us have multiple. So the differentiator has really been, if I'm hearing you correctly, the driver of the Hilton honors and how they're going to exceed the competition.
Yeah, I'd say two things. One, agreed. I think it's loyalty programs, whether that's in the hospitality space, in the credit card space, they are a dime a dozen in many ways, and it's a points game, and that's really going back to my point earlier. What we recognize very overtly in 2019. It's just more points, more promotions, more this, more that, and everybody has that. So the shift or the focus for us has really been around how do we put the customers, understanding not only our customer at large, but truly the customers by segment, by their different behaviors, by their different value systems. And we really seek to understand them on that more personal level so that we can deliver a program, functionally that's relevant and valuable to them, but emotionally that's meaningful to them, so that we're there and we're showing up in the moments that matter. And that takes, time, it takes testing, it takes listening, it takes a lot of those pieces. And really that's where we're focused as we move forward and thinking more about customer engagement more broadly.
Yeah, I love the term moments that matter. As COVID hit, we personally were on the front line as an essential service. Our 25,000 gas stations were seeing obviously a hit in the beginning, but by the summer it was pre-COVID levels. People felt more comfortable in their travel in the car.
Yeah.
The summer became a summer of driving. The spring outlook is very, very strong. You hear a lot about Americans, 2/3 of Americans are saying that they're travel starved. And when you hear terms like revenge spending and revenge travel, are you as bullish on spring, summer this year as everybody else seems to be?
Yes, absolutely. I think even anecdotally, data aside, I think everyone I speak to in my network is talking about, what they can't wait to do. And we're constantly, like I said, listening to our customers. And the number one thing we're hearing about is, I want to get back to travel. I want to go see my friends and family. I want to have live experiences again. And what that all really boils down to is, people are craving connection to the things that they love, and they've missed that. And so our goal as Hilton is to really be kind of that connector, that enabler of connection. And you're seeing that hopefully in our, when we talk about to new memories, it's about how we can help you get there, and how our program Hilton Honors can really make sure, again, you feel like you are safe to get there. You have the value that you need, the flexibility that you need. And then, we're ready to welcome you back. And our team members and our hotels are so excited to welcome guests back. We're seeing lifts in traffic to our website. We're seeing more people get into the planning mindset, moving beyond that dreaming stage and really start thinking about, all right, I'm ready to book that trip that I've been saving all my points for. And we're seeing that uptick. So very bullish and excited for what's to come.
You mentioned dream. Can you elaborate more on the phrase, come dream with us?
So we are really focused on, when we think about the customer journey, I think a lot of us in the industry talk about customer journeys. I will say, most of our work around customer journey is very focused on, how do we get a person to book? That's kind of the journey that we've always doubled down on. What's the dreaming, the planning, the booking, the stay experience. Now what we've done is really spend a lot of time thinking more broadly about that journey, and less about a booking journey, but more about a relationship journey. So when we say things like, come and be inspired to create new memories with us, come, look at all of the great places you can go, how you can travel at our 18 brands and all of our hotels around the world. We're really focused on kind of bringing people in and exposing them to them, reminding them why connection, why travel is so meaningful in their lives, and kind of drawing up those memories. And that's really been kind of a big way that we've been bringing folks in from a content perspective, just tapping into that emotion and that mindset of people missing their family, missing adventures at the beach, missing all of these great experiences. And so being inspired to travel is kind of step one, and making sure they feel associated to the Hilton family. And then beyond that, it's about kind of moving them through the journey with us, through the relationship with us, that we realize for some is not necessarily immediately to booking. It may be to an engagement in a different way, whether that's, hey, maybe I can get a credit card today so I can start earning points to take me to that future stay. Or, you know what, Hilton's got some great partners that I can interact with today. And whether that's through Amazon or others, finding this additional value that we can bring into people's lives. And that's the journey that we're trying to encourage. So it kind of takes us all the way through their relationship with us and finding new ways to interact with them. It's about that invitation into our ecosystem.
So let's talk a little bit more about that invitation. That doesn't come from nowhere. That comes from a lot of research. You've been through an evolution with a rebrand with the Hilton Honors, and so you've seen this consumer evolve over time. But how are your marketing programs speaking specifically to this evolution and demonstrating its value?
Sure. So I will maybe take even a few more steps back. And as I've worked here at Hilton and on Hilton Honors for a long time, I would say, if you kind of take us way back, we were really designed to be a program and a brand that appealed to frequent travelers, the frequent business travelers, the road warriors. And that's how the program was designed. That's ultimately how we marketed it. And that's really where we focused. We then, about 5 years ago, kind of decided, what, we need to expand. We need to be a club for all. We need to be a place that all travelers feel welcome, from the 1 to 2 time stayers all the way up to those that stay 60 plus times a year. And so we really kind of broaden our message, our tonality, our approach to bringing people in the door. And then kind of fast forward to where we are today as a brand and as a company, we've recognized that every customer is different, not only as individuals, but every time they travel is for a different reason. And sometimes that's for leisure, sometimes that's for business, sometimes it's somewhere in between. And so part of what we do and part of what our repositioning effort really led us to is recognizing that what's important is that we recognize the person that you are in different moments and deliver against that. So our program and our brand and our marketing is designed to recognize that and deliver what you need in that moment for that occasion or that particular instance of your interaction with us.
Yeah. There's really 2 different types of travelers. I mean, there are those who are ready to travel right now,
yes.
and those who are not. So how are you keeping them, how are you staying top of mind? I mean, with those?
Yeah, so absolutely. So yes, we have, and kind of very simply, you have the non-starters, right? Those that are just, I'm not traveling until I'm vaccinated, and I don't even really want to talk about it until I know that I can get there. And you've got the folks that are, on the fence. They're thinking, hey, maybe I'll do it, but I need to probably have a little bit of an extra nudge, whether that's, hey, I need a really good discount or rate, or I just need a really good inspiration point. And we want to be there when they're looking for that. And then, of course, there's those that are already on the move, and we want to make sure they're thinking of Hilton. But what we've done to stay top of mind, regardless of where you are in that journey, is again, found new ways to engage. And so one of the best examples that I like to point to that we introduced last year was our artist formerly known as Feel Good Friday communications. And I know a lot of brands did that in the space, but it was truly a communication vehicle that also extended into social to bring content to them that didn't require them to go to a booking. It was about ways to remind them of the uniqueness of Hilton, the memories of Hilton that they could have. And we could do that right in their home, right in their inbox, right in their social feed. And that was just a really awesome way to say, hey, you may not be traveling right now, but look at this recipe, look at this story. Have you checked out this partner? Try this new thing. And what we found is we were able to engage with those customers that were missing us, just like we were missing them. And they found new ways that we can engage with them, new ways to interact with them. And that's really been something we've continued and will continue as we move forward, because we now have a little bit more permission to kind of be part of people's lives in a broader way than just when they're in our hotels.
When you're part of their lives and you have a very distinct message, it's fair to say that content is queen, actually.
Yes.
How do you make that relevant, that content?
Yes, so I love that you picked up the content is queen, especially in honor of Women's History Month here. But it certainly is, and I think content is a big word. Everyone thinks about content differently, and I think the point I want to make here is really just just having good content isn't good enough. I mean, the content needs to be relevant. It needs to educate you, inspire you, entertain you, but not just broadly, not just generically. I can find music content anywhere. I can find travel content anywhere, but what is it about your content that's unique, and more importantly, connecting those customers back to your brand? And that's where I kind of talked a little bit before about test and learn, because you really have to figure out what is the relevant content that is going to whether drive an immediate action or inspire an action for the future. And that's, content is queen, because you've got to figure out what it is. It's not just good content. It's content that really drives and invites and inspires the next action. And that's really what we're focused on when we think a lot about consumer engagement and how to drive that with content. But it is a big part of what we do and will continue to do.
It's very clear. It's very clear. You started the conversation with one of the bullet points that you were in charge of, and that is CRM.
Yeah.
I'm curious, could you just articulate a little bit more of a worst case, best case usage scenario of CRM?
Worst case, best case usage scenario. So I think the very simple answer, let's just talk about how do we use CRM, is really making sure that you put the right message in front of the right customer at the right time. And that's what everybody wants. You want to know exactly what that message is, exactly that it's going to get to the right customer. The reality is that, you can do a lot of that with great, strong CRM programs that are based on past behavior. And I think one of the things that, the teams and modernized CRM functions are thinking about is how do you predict future behavior? And so you ask the best and the worst. The best is when you get it right, when you're right in the moment, you've got the right message, you know your customer, and they take that action that you wanted them to take. The worst is when you miss the mark. If you're promising personalization and you're promising that you're anticipating your guest needs and knowing what they want, and you don't quite hit it, it can have a downward effect. So, you try to minimize that as much as you can by basing it on past behavior. But in the world where, past behavior may not be indicative of future behavior, especially in our industry when business travelers may not be traveling for business anymore, what is going to be that driver, that indicator that will get them to take that next action with us? And that's, I think, the challenge, especially here for us at Hilton, of thinking about what are those new indicators of behaviors and how can we, power our CRM engine to understand those and identify those and drive that action in the same way. So I think CRM is just, I believe very deeply in the power of it. And I think that many companies, ours included, are just scratching the surface of doing smart things based on past behavior, but how do you get even smarter about what they're doing now and what they may do in the future?
It's a great answer. I mean, we're talking about our consumers in blocks. Loyalty and customer service is such a passion of yours. Can I get even more granular and ask about a consumer? Has there been a customer that has inspired you?
A customer that has inspired me. Well, I think I've probably got a few. So I am inspired by those folks that really kind of move through life with intent. I love to describe like kind of the people that inspire me. It's like people that know what they want, people that want to kind of, make the most of their days, that are really going after, and they're looking for brands to really, support them in that journey, empower them in that journey. And I'm so inspired by that person. And I can see them walking down the street confidently, very boldly, knowing what they want to do. And I just think about, how can Hilton Honors, how can Hilton really, support that person, empower that person, recognize that person, because that person knows what they're after. We're just here to support them along the way. And so I think about that person, I envision that person walking down the street, and that's who I think about. And that's why I think, the things we've done with Hilton Honors, whether that's, again, going back to understanding their needs, not getting in the way, not trying to showboat anything, but really just say, we're here to support you. We're here to lift you up. And that's the role that we try to play. And that's what, for all the members we've talked to, that's what, our most loyal customers want most. They want to be, recognized for who they are. They want to be empowered to have experiences on their terms. And they want to make sure you're going to give them the value that matters. And that's what we focus on. And that's the person I see. And I hope that we can deliver against.
That's great. I want to touch on the loyalty piece of it. You have a tremendous relationship with American Express.
Mm-hmm.
And there's quite a few cards there. There's the Surpass, Business, Aspire,
Yep.
regular American Express, Hilton Honors. Discuss that partnership a little bit more and that value.
Yeah, it is. I've had the pleasure of working on the co-brand credit card program for the last almost 4 years. And one of the biggest things that I learned during that time is, we all knew how to, sell hotels and travel. But then how do you bring a credit card into that ecosystem and make that kind of a meaningful product and experience that you have? And the credit card, I say, is kind of this hero that comes in good times, and most importantly in 2020, even in the tough ones. And what we found is that has become just such a great way to drive deeper engagement with our customers, because every time they shop, every time they swipe, they're thinking of their relationship with Hilton Honors. And if you ask them, they continue to swipe and spend with our credit cards because they're saving up their points for that future dream trip. They want to get the status benefits that the card delivers, and that is just such a meaningful partnership. And our friends at Amex, they have great insight and great products that can help power that relationship. And so the combination of Amex and Hilton together, and that kind of the ability to earn and accelerate the best of what Hilton has to offer, is through the credit card. And that has really been something that has kept us standing very strongly during the pandemic. And those are the ones that are coming back and booking those first big redemption stays at their dream properties, because of all the points that they've earned on dining and other value areas that they've needed during the pandemic. So it's a very flexible vehicle and product for us that is all about deepening the relationship and then hopefully propelling them into their next experience with Hilton.
The loyalty that you mentioned, I mean, it seems like earning it is a never-ending process. How do you adapt to that fluidity of earning loyalty?
Yes. Again, it just really goes back to paying attention, earning their loyalty. I mean, we really believe that it's about, again, recognizing, what matters to you and being there, for you along the way. So, that may be delivering you, like I said, the value. We pay attention, what kind of offers do our members want? What kind of stays are they doing right now? Are we incentivizing, are that we rewarding them for the right types of things that matter to them? And that's meaningful for people. People want value out of the loyalty program. So, you can give them all the great experiences in the world, but at the end of the day, there's a foundational part that is about the value, and we make sure it's there every time. And then, kind of pivoting into the experience, on property, we know as an honors member, you're going to walk into the door and our team members are ready to greet you. And in a world of contactless arrival, where we're doing much more through the Hilton Honors app, and you're able to, open the app, check, book your room, check in, choose your room on your phone, and then ultimately get your room key on your phone. We're able to deliver that recognition and that experience to our members digitally. So again, they can choose to go straight to their room, but we want to make sure they still feel recognized, and, making the experience seamless, making sure no matter what, if it's digital or physical, they feel recognized and appreciated is a focus. And I think, where we continue to double down with respect to earning loyalty by providing value and, delivering again and again on a seamless experience.
It really is a personal touch. And, there's no surprise that customer is always the focus. And if, whether you're Amazon, as you mentioned earlier, or any other organization, they're talking about the customer experience being critical. Yep. When you view the customer experience, there's like an excitement in your voice. Like, where does that come from? I know you're a very pleasant individual, but this is the hospitality business is very difficult. Where does this motivation and passion come from?
So I'm a person that likes things to be seamless and easy. And there's a lot of things that go on around us in our lives. And I'm inspired by the idea of, if I can be, and if we can help be a company and a brand that supports someone having an easier, better, more seamless experience, like I'm all in. And I think that's really where the passion for it comes from. Is like, make it seamless, make it easy so that I can go on and do what I need to do. And sometimes I need to go on and go to a meeting. So, make it easy for me to get the benefits that I need, and, what I need from you in the morning when I wake up. Or, sometimes I want to be the hero because I've earned all these points. I've been on the road. I want to bring my family in and recognize that. So I'm inspired by kind of, making sure that you understand people for where they are in any given moment, and providing an experience that supports them and allows them to go and do just what they need to do in that moment. So that's kind of what charges me up. Because again, I think of that person that they know what they want, they know where they're going. They just need you to kind of deliver. And that gets me excited. And I think when we can do that in the customer experience, not only on our hotel, but throughout their entire relationship with us, that's what, gets us going.
Are there any media executions in the hospitality industry that make you cringe? Maybe not so severe as cringe.
I wouldn't put down all of our friends in the hospitality industry. Maybe a different way to say it is, I think one of the things that the industry at large, travel, hospitality, we can all challenge ourselves to do is find our unique differentiators. I think, everybody clearly has pent up demand for travel. Everybody's dreaming about the aspirational properties and destinations. And, it's hard even for us sometimes to find that, like, how are you going to cut through? How are you going to break through? How will they know it's Hilton and not someone else? How will they know it's Delta and not somebody else? And I think for all of us, it's a challenge to say, what is it that's going to be unique to Hilton, unique to us, unique to your company that you can really bring forth to the customer? So not that anything makes me cringe, but I always want to push our collective industry to find those differentiating points, because I think that's going to give each of us a place. There's lots of travelers, millions and millions and millions in the world, and lots of people committed to the hospitality industry. Let's just all find a way to make ourselves stand out.
Well, I totally agree. When we gather, and we will gather a year from now, what
Absolutely.
we discuss, what is the headline going to be?
What is the headline going to be? The headline for us is definitely going to be, Hilton Honors has had my back, and I'm here with them, and I stand with them, and I'm ready to travel with them again. I mean, I think that's the big piece for us. We want to be remembered as the company that had their back in good times and in bad, and we're going to be there. We've been there for them through the pandemic, and then we found ways to deliver even better experiences and value and appreciation to them along the way. So there they are standing with us on the other end. That's what we hope for.
Thanks. We have a few questions in the queue that I'm going to get to, but let me end with, what is your favorite Hilton property?
Oh, good question. There's so many great ones, but I will share. One of my very favorites is it's the Waldorf Astoria in Shanghai on the Bund. And one of the reasons I love that property is truly how they treated me when I was there. I felt like the most important person walking in those doors, and the experience. I'm not certainly the most important person walking in those doors, but every morning they greeted me. They knew, made sure I was all good, and that was the experience for the customers. The hotel was beautiful, the views were beautiful, but most importantly, that experience. From the time I walked in, I felt like I was gliding through the whole experience to my room, and had a lovely stay. And it's just top notch. So a great property.
That's going to go on my list.
Yes, for sure.
Here are some questions we have in the queue. I am a Hilton Honors Lifetime Diamond member. Are there any shortcuts to being a Diamond member, by the way? That's my question.
Are there any shortcuts to being a Diamond?
Like any hacks to become a Diamond member?
Well, I will say you can get our Hilton Honors American Express Aspire card and enjoy Diamond status as a card member for as long as you're an active card member. So that's probably the fastest way if you literally wanted to do that today. And then I think on top of that, right now, because of the pandemic, and a lot of us have done this, we reduced our status requirements, our earning requirements by 50% this year to recognize, that folks are just simply not going to be able to travel at the frequency that they once had, so that we dropped that down to make it more attainable. So you could get the credit card tomorrow, or you could, take half the stays needed normally for Diamond and start working when you're ready to travel again.
Well, that's great. I do not want to eat into a Diamond Club member's question, but Jonathan continues on and says he loves the program. He's been enjoying the content in their weekly Friday emails during the time of reduced travel. The question is, do you think this will lead to Hilton being top of mind for people when they start to travel again? I think it's a very obvious yes.
Yes.
And also, what Hilton hotel are you looking forward to traveling next?
Oh, okay. So yes,
a variation on that question.
Yeah, so you're right. The short answer is I believe that our content is definitely going to keep Hilton top of mind, and why we're continuing to focus on that, and why we're bringing new things forward to our customers. So absolutely, Jonathan, hoping that that's inspiring you and keeping Hilton top of mind for you. As far as the hotel I'm most looking forward to, I would love to get out to the Waldorf in Monarch Beach. It's a newly Waldorf property. I've heard amazing things. I'd love to get out to California, and that just seems like my first big destination coming out of this pandemic.
Well, it's funny. If you ask me my favorite Hilton hotel, it was really an experience. It was the Hilton LAX.
Oh,
And I was
wow.
in college at Loyola Marymount, and we had an event there, and they treated us so, because when you're in college, your hotel experiences are really just motels on a beach. There wasn't anything special. But a bunch of us rugby players were treated so nice by the Hilton staff. I was embarrassed to even be there. They were so kind. Another question: did you have a professional mentor early on in your career, and how did that relationship impact your journey?
Yes, I am grateful that I've actually had many along the way, and I think that is one of the things that I point to as part of my growth in my career. Those mentors helped me learn more about myself and often recognize things about me that I didn't, fully understand and appreciate until I got their guidance. I referenced earlier when I joined Hilton. I mean, that person, that mentor, and I would have never considered joining Hilton. But he at the time was like, give it a chance. I think you're going to find your place. Come on in, give it a go. And he was right. And that was a big, part of, every step along the way, checking in with those mentors, getting some feedback, asking some questions in their experience, but also, put yourself in their shoes. And that's really helped me along the way. So yes.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yeah. Another question is, how do you approach emerging media channels, and how do they factor into your overall strategy?
Yes, I'll speak to this a little bit, but also do a plug for one of my team members and colleagues that will be coming into the Brand Innovator Circle soon. Rebecca Panico, who leads our media team, can talk a lot about this. But I think, for us, we're definitely a company that is, tried and true in the channels. But like I said before, we're always testing. So as new channels come on board, actually was in a meeting earlier today, we have a community of honors members on Clubhouse. Do we go on Clubhouse? What do we do about it? And I think one of our approaches is definitely thinking about, evaluating the channel, understanding how consumers interact with it, what tie do we have in being there? And that's the team that focuses on social and media and all of these emergent channels. That is the approach that they take, is kind of, wait and see a bit. And then when we enter into it, when we explore it, it is much more of a test and learn approach. And then when we find something that works, we go at scale. But I know Rebecca has been thinking a lot about this and the changing of media channels, the focus on digital. I mean, we know that over 70%, if not more, of media spend is going to be in the digital space as we move forward in 2021 and beyond. And I think there's a lot to learn and understand as you kind of charter those new territories.
Yeah, we've noticed that as well, and it's a fun conversation to have. This is a really good question. Is, as leaders, you're always developing your abilities. What skills would you like your marketing team to develop this year?
So, great question. As we've just come off of kind of our year-end process, the one thing, and I think this is a perfect example, is get external perspective. That is so important. Especially those of us that have worked at companies for a long period of time or been in similar roles. I'm always challenging them to find an interest and a passion that you can follow and get external perspective. So the absorbing of information and then taking that information that they're reading and learning about and applying it to their everyday job. And that's not easy, to A, carve out the time, and B, then figure out the implications as it relates to your role. So that's kind of one big area. The second big area is definitely, around using customer data, using performance data to really inform decisions, not just in strategy, but in day-to-day prioritization. When you're looking at a set of tactics and things you can do, how do you look at that tied to business results? What's going to have the biggest impact? What are the implications if you do X and not Y? And so using that kind of data-driven decision-making within a marketing context, within a loyalty context, is really important, and one that we're always kind of fostering and wanting to build and get smarter about on our team.
Well, thank you. And Amanda, you've been terrific today, and you've really get some great insight into Hilton Honors. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for your candor. And I think you've all inspired us as well. And I'm glad
you, Terry. I appreciate it. And I can't wait till you do your next trip, and I'll give you some more tips on the side of other great places to check out.
Thank you both so much. I loved hearing in the beginning Terry's comment that you went to University of Maryland. I grew up